How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Most people will never be able to afford 0.1 Bitcoin. Even the very wealthy will not be able to accumulate 0.1 Bitcoin at some point. I mean, I'm talking millionaires, multimillionaires will not be able to accumulate that amount of Bitcoin. Now, why is that? We're going to be going through it in this video, and there are a number of reasons for it. I think a lot of people have not thought about Bitcoin in this way, and I think you're going to think about Bitcoin a little bit differently after this video as well. Now, if you do want to trade crypto, I don't recommend this to everyone, but there are links underneath the video to Bydfi and BTCC. Bydfi, I really like. They allow you to trade Bitcoin with Bitcoin as collateral. And what I do works. I use low leverage, so 2, 3, 4x leverage. And that way we can ride out volatility. If Bitcoin falls down 10%, we're not getting liquidated. We're not even close to getting liquidated. And then we can always add margin as well. Even if we fall 20, 30, 40%, we can add margin. So that way we don't get liquidated. So if you want to check those out underneath the video, there are significant bonuses right now. Bydfi has a 20 to 60% deposit bonus. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but they're only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Seems obvious for everyone that's studied Bitcoin for any period of time, but what you might not know is there really aren't that many Bitcoin to buy, right? A lot of Bitcoin has been lost. Right now, there's almost 20 million issued or in circulation, 20 million Bitcoin, but 4 or 5 million are estimated to be lost. I mean, back when people didn't really value it at anything and it was hard to sell, they just threw it away by accident. There are a lot of reports about that. So it's estimated maybe 4 or 5 million Bitcoin are lost. There are also a lot of entities that are buying that will never sell, like MicroStrategy, Metaplanet, even governments that really don't need to sell. It's more of a hedge than anything else. So when you account for those people, along with the billionaires too, that aren't forced to sell, they have businesses that give them constant cash flow. So now they're just holding on to Bitcoin in addition to their other holdings, and they just don't need to sell ever. I estimate that there may be 5 million Bitcoin that are going to be traded. And that's based on today's numbers. There are going to be more Bitcoin that are lost over time, and there are going to be more billionaires that hold that never need to sell. So 5 million Bitcoin out of the 21 million that people consider are actually going to be traded. There are also more investors coming into Bitcoin than ever before because there's so many more products in Bitcoin than there were a couple of years ago. For example, fixed income investors can now come in because there are fixed income instruments like Stride and Strife and IMST and MSTY that pay dividends. There are also ETFs, so anyone that didn't know how to set up a Coinbase account, which sounds crazy, but there are people like that. They have millions and millions of dollars, but they're not tech savvy. They don't trust themselves, and their financial advisors wouldn't buy for them. They can now buy ETFs. There are also options now. You can run different option strategies on Bitcoin-related products. There are also going to be loans that you can take somewhat safely, I'd say, through financial institutions like JP Morgan. They just announced that they're going to give you loans against your Bitcoin ETFs if you want them. Also, they're going to start accounting for your Bitcoin ETF holdings when they look at your net worth. So there are more investors that are coming over than ever before because a lot of people won't start buying an asset unless they can get access to the equity or unless they can provide some kind of income to themselves from it. So more people coming in than ever, less and less Bitcoin available because there are more and more large entities that are buying. Keep in mind, there are more entities that could come in that will take even more Bitcoin away, like countries, right? There are countries that are buying Bitcoin right now, but if the US starts aggressively buying Bitcoin or some other big country starts doing that, they're not price sensitive at all. Just like MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy says all the time, they don't care the price of Bitcoin, they're going to continue to buy. They're going to buy every single top of the market because they want as much Bitcoin as possible. And to do that, you have to buy at all-time highs. So there are a lot of entities that are not price sensitive and some that buy even more as the price goes up. There are some entities that will not buy until Bitcoin hits 200,000, 300,000, 500,000. They want assets that are at a certain market cap or lower volatility. So as Bitcoin gets bigger, there are more buyers. Also, there are a lot of people that just find it very hard to understand right now. They need more time. The reason for that is it's not 1,000 years old, or like 10,000 years old, like gold, right? I know gold's older than that, right? Since the beginning of the universe, basically, or since, Adam started to make gold, but it's been used for thousands and thousands of years as currency or as value. Bitcoin's only 15 years old, 16 years old. So A lot of people don't trust it yet. A lot of people haven't put in the time. There's also no cash flow, unlike real estate or even like Amazon or Google. There's no cash flow. So people have a hard time wrapping their head around it and valuing it as of now. But that will change over time. And as it gets bigger and bigger, more and more people are going to take notice and they're going to start accumulating, whether they like it or not. There are a lot of vehicles like VOO and NASDAQ that are starting to get exposure to Bitcoin and Bitcoin related companies. And as that goes on, people are going to slowly drip into those assets and they're going to have exposure to Bitcoin whether they like it or not, which allows those companies to buy more and more Bitcoin. Also, the cost of 0.1 Bitcoin is just going to grow to be astronomical. If you believe Michael Saylor in that Bitcoin's going to reach $13 million in the next 20 years, that means 0.1 Bitcoin would be $1.3 million. So even a millionaire will not be able to accumulate 0.1 Bitcoin. Keep in mind too, even if you're worth, let's say you're worth $10 million and Bitcoin's worth $13 million. A lot of people, a lot of decamillionaires are not going to be able to buy 0.1 Bitcoin. $1.3 million is still a lot to someone worth $10 million. You're talking about buying an asset that's extremely volatile, at least at this point. By then, it will probably be less volatile and be recognized more as a store of value. But it's still very difficult for someone to have that kind of liquidity. Now, $10 million, it's a little bit easier to buy something worth $1.3 million compared to like a millionaire buying something worth $130,000. A lot of people worth maybe $1 million have a hard time buying something worth $130,000 because a lot of that equity or a lot of that value, net worth might be tied up in a house or a business or a 401k that you can't self-direct. So for those people, it's going to be extremely hard to buy Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's probably going to hit $1 million faster than a lot of people think, at least people that are maybe not super bullish on Bitcoin. So all these things factor in to make it extremely difficult to buy 0.1 Bitcoin. Keep in mind, if there are 5 million Bitcoin that are being traded, right? 50 million people can buy 0.1 Bitcoin, but there are already people that are buying 1 Bitcoin, 5 Bitcoin. Those aren't included in the the billionaires that we talked about earlier. They're stacking. It's not included in the companies that are stacking. There are a lot of people that have 10, 50, 100 Bitcoin that will never have to sell. Maybe they'll take some lifestyle trips at some point, but also if you can get a loan against your Bitcoin at a very low cost, and let's say Bitcoin's worth $13 million and you have 5 Bitcoin, okay, you can put a quarter of a Bitcoin at some financial institution, take a small loan against it, and you can get a lot of liquidity. So it's going to be extremely hard for people to ever stack 0.1 Bitcoin. I mean, start thinking about it this way. Let's say 20 years from now, right, we're at $13 million, or better yet, let's say we're 10 years from now and we're at $1 million. So a 10x in 10 years, which Bitcoin's done much more than that over the last 10 years. But let's say we're at $1 million and you're someone that makes $150,000 a year. Let's say after taxes, that's $110,000. Let's say you spend $90,000. So you're able to put away $20,000 a year into Bitcoin. You'd need $100,000 to buy 0.1 Bitcoin. So you need to save for 5 years, all of your extra income into Bitcoin. But keep in mind, Bitcoin's going to continue to accelerate. Let's say it just compounds at 20% a year, which is lower than most people estimate that are very bullish in Bitcoin. But let's say it goes to 1.2 million and then 1.44, and then it goes up again and again and again. By the end of that 5-year period, you're looking at well over a $2 million Bitcoin, and your $20,000 now buys a lot less. So now you will never hit 0.1 Bitcoin, even investing $20,000 a year, which right now it could buy you 0.2 Bitcoin right away. So it's going to be extremely hard to catch up at some point, even if you make a really good salary. Now, of course, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think it'll be very difficult to buy 0.1 Bitcoin? I think it's going to be nearly impossible for people to buy 0.1 Bitcoin. Of course, now you can do it for $10,000, which is, a used car. It's a fifth of a new car. It is the cost of, a very nice vacation. But eventually, it will be people's entire net worth. It will be more than millionaires' net worth. So let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Maybe a bit controversial if you're not super bullish on Bitcoin, but I think it'll be nearly impossible in our lifetimes to buy 0.1 Bitcoin. And I've seen a lot of people saying that like this is going to be the cycle that people get their Bitcoin pulled away, not because of them getting scammed or anything like that, but because the price can go up enough that people feel like they need to take some risk off the table, but then they get priced out of Bitcoin, right? You sell at 200,000 and then it races up to 250, 300, 350, 400. And then you buy back in partially and then you're just like stuck with a third or a fourth the amount of Bitcoin that you had originally, which could definitely happen. Depending on how high we go, I am going to take profits, or how aggressively we get there, right? If we just slowly trickle up from 105 to 110, 120, 150, 200, and that's over the next year or two, I will be a lot less aggressive in taking profits than if we spike up to 200, like in a couple months. So I'm kind of viewing this situationally, depending on how quickly we move up, how I'll take profits. But I also look at what I could buy, right? As we go up further and further, obviously you have to pay higher and higher taxes depending on where you're at, for how much you sell. But I look and I try to find something that is going to appreciate as well as Bitcoin, and it's very difficult. Now, if you can buy some kind of real estate asset, right? I know there's some people that just hate real estate, but let's say you could buy a real estate asset that cash flows well. You don't have to do much on it. It's pretty turnkey. You can get a property manager, and it takes risk off the table. Then maybe it's worth transitioning some of your Bitcoin into that asset, right? Or diversifying. I'm not saying that's right for everyone. Some people will say, well, why would you buy real estate in a time of AI, right? Where we're going to see lower and lower housing prices. I'm just saying there are different instances where even if it doesn't financially make sense, or even if the numbers don't work out, it might take some risk off the table, which allows you to stack harder, hold the rest of your Bitcoin longer, or improves your day-to-day or relieves your stress. Because at the end of the day, the key is to have financial freedom. Let me know your thoughts though underneath the video. Again, if you want to trade, you can check out Bydfi underneath the video, or BTCC, BTCC, WEEX. I really appreciate it. There's also a link to Blowfin too. I really love Blowfin. I think it is one of the best UIs. So check that out underneath. I'll see y'all in the next one. By the way, if you want to follow me on Rumble, I have a link at the bottom of the description there. I'm posting most of my videos there. Right now, I'm actually at the cottage, so I won't be able to post today on Rumble, but I'm going to be posting more and more of my videos over there, so check that out. They recently converted to Bitcoin Strategy, so yeah, definitely want to support them there. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.